Welcome to Indieformer. I'm Josh, and today we're taking a look at the top 3 early access games from September 2018. Before we get into the video, I'd like to mention that Indieformer now has a Discord, so if you're interested in speaking with me directly or the community as a whole, then the Indieformer server is the place to do that. Usually I'm posting about upcoming videos and getting feedback on projects from you guys, so if you're interested in helping Indieformer grow, head to the social section in the description to find a link. Now let's take a look at some honourable mentions. From the folks behind Convoy, we now have Landiner Into the Void, about a captain down on his luck with more enemies than friends and a knack for getting into trouble. Build and manage your own spaceship in this space sim with similar vibes to FTL, definitely a game to sink your time into if space sims are your jam. Currently this might be a bit of a stretch for $15.99 because it needs some work in the graphics departments and bugs to fix, but with 3 years of development put into this already, I think it's a safe title to invest in. Change, a homeless survival experience, is trying to make a difference in the world. From the developers of Poncho, they ran a successful campaign after they created a version of this game for Ludum Dare 31. It's now in early access with 20% of the profits going to charities that focus on issues of homelessness. Beg, busk, or work to finding yourself a new home in this randomly generated world.
In 2016, the Vietnam began human drug trials of serotonin-3 and alleged cancer.
Dead Frontier 2 is finally here after the original was released way back in 2008. This isn't like the top-down original, so don't expect it to be the same. It's still free to play however, and is just as much an MMO as any other. It needs some work done to the graphics and repetitive sounds and gameplay, but for a free to play game in early access being worked on by one guy, there's no reason not to try this. Be sure to visit the website and take a look at the devlog to know what's being worked on and why. An 8-bit adventure that has you fight your way through a forest of enemies to find the missing people of town. Imagine the Pokemon of old, but instead of using your pocket monsters to fight, it's you. Choose from the beginning of the game whether you want a sword or a wand, which affects how you battle enemies. It's got standard music and graphics to fit, but I think it has potential. The sprites in battle are nice and remind me of the old red and blue games when you look forward to seeing the details whilst in battle. But I think Knights of Tartarus is ultimately struggling with its identity. It's got no enemy health bars, I can't see my own stats, and I'm not sure what leveling up does other than make my attacks do more damage. I believe the features are there, but there is next to no support for the keyboard, so I have no idea what to click. I think it borrows from many games, but it hasn't set itself apart. Knights of Tartarus needs to be clear about what I need to know and what I don't, and why. If everything in the game now is accurate of what I need to know, then this game won't last. But with it being in early access, there's room for improvement. It's a nice throwback to the handheld games of the 90s, but it's a bit pricey for the content as of now. A roguelike with friends. Play with up to 4 others and crawl procedurally generated dungeons and crush the dungeon champions. These types of games are great because it doesn't require a massive player base for you to have fun. Go grab your group of friends and play this together. Whereas games like Risk of Rain have some individuality when playing with others, this isn't that. You've got to communicate and work in unison to progress through the dungeon. This game is built around the multiplayer experience, so unfortunately the single player has less attention to detail, like bosses not scaling and whether you succeed or not based on a bit of luck. But that aside, the developers are working on this and listening to the growing community to patch and add everything suggested. You get the ability to play as the fighter class upon downloading the game. Should you wish to play as other classes, then you'll need to purchase the $18 DLC. They've done this so that you will always be able to play with your friends regardless if you can afford to pay or not. This is free to play, so you can't really complain about developers trying to implement ways to earn some revenue. I'd probably be on their side if this was not an early access game, but with everything being subject to change, I'm not sure I'd be comfortable investing in the DLC just yet. Don't let those words discourage you though. Grab a few friends and try it out. It's free. In a few words, this is The Binding of Isaac with friends. It's still got a way to go with content, graphics and sound, but this is a solid early access game that will hopefully flourish once fully released. The simple life. Explore, build, kick corpses, poke everything with a chicken. A simple guy who just carried his grandpa's body to a galactic funeral and found himself in the middle of a universal conspiracy. As expected, it's got a lot of dark jokes and cynical dialogue, but with an intriguing plot. This is the first of 5 planned chapters for the game, and although a short experience, you're bound to have at least a few laughs along the way. With many calling this just as good as Subnautica, it's a space survival game that doesn't take itself too seriously, which makes it relaxed and chilled out. Find items to craft together to give you a boost into outer space. You have hunger and thirst to manage, but then there's also your oxygen. You've only got a limited amount of time before you run out of air outside your room. So gathering these items and crafting equipment increases the time you can travel without air. The game is beautifully animated and has a nice soundscape. Currently, the first chapter will last you about 3 or 4 hours, but it's hours of laughter and enjoyment, so the playtime shouldn't be an issue for you. The developers have chosen to go with early access to gather feedback from the community and build a base of players. They say it could take up to 16 months to have a version ready for full release. It's currently $15.99 and the price is going to rise with new chapters being added, and upon full release will cost even more. Breath Edge looks to be an investment, and if you're interested, then pick it up now before it gets out of your price range. Do you buy early access games? What criteria do you consider before investing in a developing title? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, consider subscribing so you know when Indieformer videos are published each week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time here on Indieformer.